You want me to put that on my Tudor?
This one's wife. The Insta Blitz equals Skint. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. For around 7 or 8 days now, we haven't seen anything of this one's wife, some of you will say, hallelujah, other than repeated postings on the As Ever Instagram page. Each and every day over this period, this one's wife has embarked upon detailing responses purportedly from people that have purchased her products. In some instances, handles were not shown, and in other instances, the handles of the people that had posted about As Ever are shown, which this one's wife has then harvested, and where As Ever has been tagged, she creates a reel with 3 or 4 of these postings from various people. She's at it again, and the latest posts, well, let's have a quick look at them. Here they are.
Okay, Henry, we're enjoying our rosé from As Ever. It is delicious. So thank you, Meghan. Thank you, As Ever. It has a slight stone fruit flavor. It's really good, perfect for the summer, and they're going to be restocking soon, so you can get it before summer's end. Here, cheers.
The first post comes from Heather Dorak, who you'll recall is a non-intimate secondary source, in ordinary parlance, a friend of this one's wife, and had some involvement together as a Pilates instructor. She's got 11,600 followers on Instagram, which is not, in the scheme of many of those individuals on Instagram, a huge amount of followers. She demonstrates that she has got 2 of the bottles, which appear unopened yet displayed, telling us, love you at this one's wife. The second is a short video that has been put up by Adam Glassman. He has 60,000 followers, so a slightly higher amount, and I understand that he's the creative director of Oprah Daily, although, of course, Oprah hasn't appeared in any of these snippets, any of these posts or any of these videos, and one suspects that she never will. Interestingly, Mr. Glassman is telling us about the stone fruit that it tastes of. Well, he could have just got that from the blurb that associates this, which is sent out with this wine. And whilst he sat there with his dog and he espouses the virtues of drinking it, he doesn't actually drink it himself. We don't see him take a sip to go, delicious. He just tells us that it is without actually drinking any, which causes one with a cynical mind such as mine to ask, did you actually really drink it? The third is posted by someone called Kiosha Peru, who, by all accounts, is a standard user of Instagram, nobody famous. She's got 3,230 followers. Many of the posts on her Instagram are basically of her family and her friends. Nothing wrong with that, but it doesn't appear that she's any kind of food and wine critic and is some kind of pro-Sussex purchaser of the As Ever wine, providing us with a picture of the bottle and the glass, but no evidence of it actually being drunk. There has been something of a theme in relation to these postings, whereby we've seen the crepes, we've seen the flour sprinkles, and latterly more of the wine, with people displaying apparent purchases. Many of those posting are small influencer accounts with only a few thousand individuals that are following them. We have not seen any big hitters. No Oprah, no Chrissy Teigen, none of those type of people espousing the virtue of the products or sipping at the wine and telling us how delicious it is. There's no in the kitchen with Gwyneth this time around. Instead, most of the accounts that have been posting these things have only a few thousand followers. Now, it might be suggested, well, this is because they're genuine customers. It's a possibility. But what seems more likely is that naturally the reason that this one's wife is posting all of these things is to first of all generate interest in the product, because she wants to be able to sell the brand, not necessarily the products. She wants to be able to sell the brand. And then secondly, to nullify the threat to control caused by people suggesting, has anybody really bought it? I know, and many of you have picked up on this yourselves, that with some of the pictures, the marble tops appear frequently, and one wonders if in some instances these have just been created by the staff of this one's wife and then put upon her feed. It's also likely to be the case that her staff have been contacting individuals, possibly sending them the product and stating, all we ask in return is that you create an Instagram post or video which can then be used. In essence, the strategy of her PR seems to be that rather than utilize a heavy-hitting ad campaign or the big hitters of the A-list, is to utilize micro-influencers. You would have expected that for someone supposedly as famous or infamous of this one's wife, and with the financial firepower she purportedly had, that there would be, alongside her partner Netflix, a glossy campaign promoting all of these products, perhaps focusing on the wine. That you wouldn't be able to move for seeing advertisements coming up in your feed across social media with a stylized and beautiful advertisement for this summer drink. That you would see it pop up as advertisements on various pages across social media and mainstream media as part of a sustained advertising campaign. But you don't, which tells me that there isn't the money to do this, in terms of Netflix don't want to spend any more money on this one's wife. This one's wife doesn't like to spend her own money on such matters, and one suspects that as a consequence of points that I've raised in other videos, that there are increasing pressures on those finances, meaning that a glossy ad campaign was never going to happen. Okay, well, you might decide, don't need to do that, or we're not going to spend the money on that, but we can rely on our connections. In the same way as she attempted with the Scam Jam last year, let's send out the grift boxes, let's send out the bottles of wine to a variety of different people. Let's get them out there. Let's get Gwyneth involved, Oprah involved, Gayle King involved, Serena Williams involved. Let's have Katy Perry involved. Let's look for Amal Clooney and George Clooney. Perhaps they could be sat on a terrace drinking the wine. The fact is, this one's wife doesn't have the clout or the connections with those individuals because they, first of all, don't really want anything to do with her, and even less so want anything to do with this shitty product. She thinks that she's amongst the A-list. She quite clearly isn't, because she hasn't been able to enlist the A-list for the promotion of her dire rosé. Nobody meaningfully famous has appeared. Yes, Heather Dirac with 11,600 followers and Adam Glassman with 60,000 are more than the usual micro-influencers that she has been utilising, but they are anomalies. Largely speaking, those that have been promoting the wine are people with anywhere between a few hundred or a few thousand followers. To my mind, this sustained portrayal of this information is demonstrative of the fact that there's been a shift because she can't afford the glossy ad campaign. The A-list aren't going to help her out because they simply don't like her. And therefore, she has turned to enlisting the assistance of micro-influencers with the expectation of creating a head of steam by repeatedly promoting her wine herself by saying, hey, look at all these people who've been buying it, so you should too. And the fact that all of these micro-influencers' own followers will say, oh, look, they've got some of the As Ever wine, I'd like some too. Take, for example, Andrew Tate, another narcissist. But he has been banned from most platforms. And yet there was a period of time, and he still does, where he kept racking up the video views, even though he didn't have any actual platforms to post on. And this was because his various followers were showing excerpts of his videos, sharing his videos. So there was this cascade effect of he kept popping up and popping up and popping up because other people, although they may not have had massive followings themselves, there were so many of those followers that they were posting. And it's interesting. This one's wife purports to have somewhere in the region of 4 million followers on her own personal Instagram and some 870 odd thousand on As Ever. And yet you don't see it popping up in your own feed on Instagram, Facebook, etc. from all of these people. Even if they've not purchased it, they might operate in a similar way to the followers of Andrew Tate by making reference to it. Look, somebody who's bought As Ever and they say it's delicious, can't wait to try it myself. But it hasn't happened. It seems to my mind that this one's wife attempting to rely upon these micro-influencers with fewer followers to generate this head of steam, this cascading effect, which happened with Andrew Tate, is demonstrative of the fact that she hasn't got the money for a proper campaign, that she hasn't got the money to even hire big-hitting influencers, say paying them several $1,000s each to promote her wine. Instead, one suspects that her PR people are getting in touch with them and asking them, please create a short advertisement by way of post or video, or here's a complimentary set of 3 bottles of wine on the basis of you creating a post and doing it that way. So the spend is on sending out the product rather than actually paying these individuals to create the advertisements. And of course, because these people are smaller accounts, they're not necessarily habitually involved in the receipt of payment for what they do. They're quite content to receive some of the product and put it out there themselves. I think all of this, the approach that's been adopted, is not only demonstrative of the fact that As Ever isn't taking off, but is also demonstrative of the fact she simply hasn't got the money to pay big hitters to advertise her wine or to have a glossy advertising campaign, and demonstrates that essentially they're skint. What do you think about that, valuable viewers? Do you think there is substance in what I'm observing, that we are witnessing a brand that's not ever taken off, and nor will it ever take off, and in particular in relation to the wine? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I'm HG Tudor. Thank you for listening.